Council meeting for May 6th, our 6 o'clock meeting to order. We have all council members present. We acknowledge that this land is the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of the First Nations, comprised of the Ojibwe, the Ottawa, and the Potawatomi peoples, and of the Huron-Wendat peoples. We value the significant historical and contemporary contributions of local and regional First Nations and of all the original peoples of Turtle Island who have been living and working on this land from time immemorial. Please stand if you're able for our national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command.
Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits.
God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Welcome this evening. On behalf of the town of Essex, we are saddened to hear of the passing of the former mayor, Jerry Hinkle. Jerry was a longtime member of our community for the past 71 years, and he touched the lives of many. Jerry served as the mayor of the town from 1980 to 1985, helping to shape the community that we all know and love. During his time on council, he led many legacy projects, including the installation of the sanitary sewage system. In addition to his time on council, Gary and his wife, Ruth, opened the doors to Shinkle Meat Market in 1962, a pivotal landmark that is still in operation today. Our heartfelt condolences go out to Jerry and his family and friends, and all that were touched by his kindness and dedication. I would now like to take a moment of silence to remember the life of Jerry Shinkle. And thank you for that. We'll go to our clerk, Director Malandrucolo, for the closed meeting report.
Through you, on Monday, April 29th at 6 p.m., council moved into closed session to discuss advice that's subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, pursuant to Section 239(2)C of the Municipal Act. On Monday, May 6th at 4 p.m., council moved into closed pursuant to Section 239J of the Municipal Act, as amended, to discuss a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, or financial information that belongs to the municipality or local board and has monetary value or potential monetary value. And that's the extent of my report.
I want to take the time to recognize that it is National Nurses Week this week. So if you are a nurse and in the healthcare profession or retired, we appreciate you. Any declarations of conflicts of interest from members of council tonight? Seeing none, needing a mover and a seconder of the adoption of the published agenda for our regular council meeting for May 6th and amended to add for the matter of new business, 2 new business items, one from Councillor Mady and a notice of motion from Councillor Verbeek. So needing a mover and a seconder for that. Deputy Mayor Shepley, Councillor Allard, any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Adoption of the minutes from the April 15th, needing a mover and a seconder. Councillor Guerin, Councillor Mady, all in favor? And that is carried. We will go to public presentations, 8.1. We have Gary McLean requesting a second driveway on Irwin Avenue. So Gary, just go back to the podium there where it says delegations. And when you get there, turn on the mic and you have 5 minutes to address council. Welcome.
Thank you. Basically, we have a situation where we moved into the property on Talbot Street in 2018. And one of the reasons we chose that property was it had rear access already onto Irwin with a garage. And as I'm a contractor, this was very good for my business. I could access our tools and such. Last year, we decided the garage was in really bad shape, so we wanted to tear it down and put a new one in place. So we went ahead, we got a permit that was inspected and passed. And then about 6 months later, I was told we were going to lose our access. So obviously, this is great for us. I'm a little disappointed with it. And the larger problem is that we spent, roughly $35,000 to do this, and then to lose the access is kind of disappointing. So I am requesting to keep that access.
Hang on right there in case members of council have questions. Members of council, any questions for Mr. McLean? Councillor Allard?
I'm just wondering, the back access, how many parking spots are you using now and how many do you want after?
Well, right now it's kind of like a little parking lot. It's all stone that was there. It fits roughly 4 or 5 vehicles, but I really only need one.
And then Deputy Mayor Shepley.
Yeah, you encouraged us to drive by and have a look. The driveway that I'm seeing looks temporary at best. I'm assuming there was no permit ever issued for this driveway. It was already there when
It
you
was there when we moved in, and actually, there's an asphalt driveway in that backyard. It stops at the fence. And when we built the new garage, I actually, because it was kind of on an L shape, I left the garage directly on the other side of the property. But yeah, there is an asphalt driveway back there, but it's all stone in the back.
So my question now, knowing that you are potentially going to lose this driveway, have you looked into applying for another driveway?
Yeah, we would do that for sure if we were able to. We didn't even think, when we had the permit for the garage, because there was an existing garage and existing access there, it didn't cross my mind that we would need a permit for another access.
More directly maybe to administration, or is that appropriate this time? I'm just wondering if Director Gerard could tell us if we were to permit a driveway, what would the cost be to the town to have to tear that up and replace that on a ongoing basis if we had to do work on it? Just if you could educate us on that a little bit.
Yeah, through the chair. So I don't have the dollar figure specific or as it would relate to the Irwin reconstruction, for instance. We would have that cost from that contract. But it would be like in the thousands. It does cost us multiple thousands of dollars per driveway entrance to complete a driveway entrance. I would say that the key here is also not necessarily just about the cost. There are other things here as well. And section 3.17 of the town's development standards, which was adopted by council in February of 2022, only permits one driveway per lot. The rationale for this when it was created was that there is that additional cost in the municipality for infrastructure replacements and road work. So you can see that here as it relates to the Irwin reconstruction project. It does create more conflicts with road traffic and pedestrian traffic. It removes green space on private and public property and contributes to additional stormwater runoff into municipal storm sewers. And also where those driveways are gravel, they do also contribute to sediment accumulation within stormwater system. So for the sake of consistency across the municipality, that's why we have set the standard, which is why the proponent is here to seek an exemption from that standard.
The administration, if we were to, I don't know if this would even be possible, but would there be a opportunity for the proponent to pay for the town cost to bring that up to, if we allowed that driveway, for him to pay for what the expenses the town would incur at this stage in order to facilitate it so that it doesn't cost the town money in order for him to have a second driveway? I'm just curious if that's an option. If you would be able to determine a cost that we could associate.
Through the chair. So just so I'm understanding your question. So as it relates to let's say the Irwin reconstruction project, to have that driveway installed, like put back, but at the expense of the homeowner?
Yeah, to the standards that the town would require it to be at in order to, if they would have come and had a permit, what we would have put in place of it. We would put a gravel driveway in, is my understanding. We would have to do hard surface back so far.
Through the chair, so if this driveway would have gone through the permit process, the regular permit process, we would not have permitted a second access. An exemption would have needed to be sought from council to receive that second access, so it wouldn't fall under our regular permitting process. Typically, we don't require permits of work within a town project. But if the town, or if town council wanted to, in fact, allow that driveway, we could go through the regular permitting process with that applicant and make sure that it's installed to the standard of the day.
That's like, for me, I'm looking at it. If we close it off, I think you're just gonna park your vehicles on Main Street. There'll be a slew of vehicles parked out on Main Street, so I wouldn't be opposed to it if it wasn't gonna cost the town money. I think if we could associate those costs to you, I would be in support of that if that was the appetite of council, and that's kind of where I'm coming at it from at this point. So I'll leave it to everyone else to discuss.
Thanks to the mayor. Usually I'm not in favor of allowing something like this. But in this particular case, I do see a little bit of value in it. I like that you came before us. I like that you're thinking one car driveway, which I would, if we were to do this, I'd be leaning towards sticking to the one car driveway, whether that's 10 feet, 12 feet, we can let administration, let us know what that appropriate size would be. And I am not opposed to Deputy Mayor's suggestion that the property owner would have to pay for some of that. But if we don't do that, necessarily we don't do that. If we're putting in sidewalks on a road and they didn't have sidewalks before, we typically talk to the residents. And if they just did a cement driveway, sometimes we'll abut the sidewalk to it, and sometimes we'll cut out and replace. So you win on some, you lose on others. So I don't think it's necessary to put that cost in this case on the property owner, but I'd be in support of a one car. It is quite a distance from the intersection of Fairview and Gosfield. So I don't see it being a traffic concern or anything like that. Matter of fact, it's probably more safe, the rear entrance than the front yard one is. So I would be in favor of it if it was one car.
Council wish to speak, and then I will go to you, Councilor McGuire Blaze, and then we do need a motion of direction from council that the delegation by Gary McLean be received and that the request for the second driveway on Irwin either be approved or not approved, and council can put stipulations in that motion as well. Councilor McGuire Blaze?
Thank you, through the chair. I agree with Councillor Guerin and with Deputy Mayor Shepley. I think in this case, the double driveway should be allowed. It makes sense for it to be, actually, it makes more sense for your driveway to be on Irwin than Talbot, in my opinion. But I would like to move the motion that we receive the delegation and that we allow for a one car driveway at the rear or off of Irwin with hard surface, I think is what I'm hearing. So hard surface, one car driveway.
We need a seconder of that motion. That motion does not speak to the proponent paying for the second driveway. That motion, just so everybody knows. Councilor Guerin, you want to second it? Okay, question to the motion? Councilor Guerin.
Just a friendly amendment to it. I'd like it to be, and I think so with the delegate, to the driveway to be in line with the existing. Yeah, providing that it's on the property. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I suppose this question would be to our Director of Infrastructure. Do we have wording for a one car driveway, or are we going to have to make up some kind of definition for what a one car driveway is? And then the second part to that would be not familiar with the exact plans on Irwin Avenue there. Is that sidewalk side or not the sidewalk side?
So the sidewalk is on the opposite side of the road, so that's not going to be a problem. There is some drainage that needs to occur behind the resident's property, so that will have to occur. So the driveway placement may be dependent on that drainage scheme and the design on Irwin. But the motion as it is workable for me, so I have no problem with that. And no amendment is required, but it should be, noted that we don't, again, as a normal practice, we don't typically charge for a permit fee in these circumstances, because where a town work is occurring, we waive the permit fee. But this driveway will need to be permitted under permit so that we can kind of legalize it and keep it for tracking purposes so that this doesn't occur in the future.
Speak to the motion. I will support the motion, although I do believe that when we do allow second driveways, it should be covered by the proponent, because I think it's kind of a benefit and kind of something that should be cost recovery. I don't think regular taxpayers should have to pay for the cost of 2 driveways for 1 lot, but that's just my comments. Any other comments to the motion? Deputy Mayor?
The same benefit, because I know and it's not to be punitive to anybody, it's just as discussed earlier with administration, when we do future work to this roadway, we then have to dig it up and do the work on that driveway. As again, if we do work on the main street, we're digging up and doing work on your driveway. So you're receiving double benefits. That was why I was proposing that maybe this time we would have attached a fee for you. But if that's the will of council, I'm good with that too. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to having an amendment that if you guys were willing to, that the proponent would look to the fees, pay for it, but that's up to you guys.
Why don't we vote on the motion and then we could have a separate motion? How about that? Might be cleaner. Okay, so far the first motion is that the delegation be received and that the request for the second driveway be approved. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. So if there is another motion, I will take it. Or if not, we will move on. No? Okay. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
You got off scot-free this time. It's good. Take good care of that driveway, eh? Okay, second delegation, 8.2. Terry Pilon on behalf of Geraldine Bergeron. Welcome. And we have a request for a second driveway on Maidstone Avenue East.
Good evening, Mayor Bondi and councillors. My name is Terry Pilon. I'm here on behalf of my mother, Geraldine Bergeron, and she owns the property at 222 Maidstone Avenue, and she's owned it since 1988. We are here to request an exemption to the one driveway approach policy. Construction on the intersection of Maidstone, Arthur, and Gosfield North was well underway last month when we were advised by an employee of the Infrastructure Services Department that they would like to speak with us regarding our driveway situation. Throughout the planning process, we have never been informed that the looped driveway on our corner property would be an issue. Even when the hydro services were relocated along the easement of our property, no concerns were noted. As recently as March the 19th of this year, we received a notice from BT Engineering that during construction, all driveways impacted would be made accessible. There were no driveway issues identified at any stage of the process. On April 10th, when I spoke to Mr. Macbeth, I was offered a choice of which access we preferred. We could have only one according to council policy. On April 17th, I received an email from him stating that the front access would be closed due to the left turn lane and the location of our garage facing Gosfield North, unless council grants our request for an exemption. So I'd like to take this opportunity to explain why the looped driveway is so important to our safety and the value of our property. In terms of safety, we want to retain our discretionary option to pull through and exit our yard based on the traffic flow and the time of day. We understand the traffic patterns at that corner. There have been many accidents over the years, but none involving the householders, thankfully. Reconstruction of the intersection does not change the volume or end destination of the traffic. The new left turn lane will actually help organize and identify traffic direction, which should ease the flow around our property and is not a reason to close our access to our driveway. As you can see in the photo, I included a photo. It looks like our driveway was taken into account when the left lane was actually planned. The Town of Essex construction notice indicates the white pavement marking lines in a broken pattern where a car would potentially exit from our front driveway. It also shows a solid line, white line, towards the west that would accommodate about 8 car lengths in the left turn lane. We are also concerned that closing the front access will confuse and delay emergency vehicles if needed. My parents have required many ambulance visits over the years. Customarily, access to a property is on the same street as the address number. Navigating around to Gosfield North, the driveway on that side, would delay the response time. There are also issues related to financial costs and property value as well. The front access driveway was built with the house in 1952. The ground is hard as rock and grass will never grow there. If you close that access, it will become an eyesore and require complete excavation and sod. This will be very costly. Who is responsible to pay for the problem that the town would have caused? Secondly, the lot has an area of 16,500 square feet. The 1978 survey shows it divided into 2 sections. Although my parents purchased it as a single lot, we may apply to sever the lots in the future. Each will require a driveway, one that already exists. I also want to address Mr. Macbeth's point about the garage, the Gosfield North approach. I don't think this has any bearing on the decision to close the front access. Many homes have garage doors perpendicular to the front of the house and the driveway approach. In closing, I would like to ask Council to support our request for an exemption to this policy and allow us to retain our looped driveway. We have noticed there are other corner residential lots with looped access driveways. This is not a precedent-setting decision. Every property owner can make a case for their own exemptions as required. We have never been informed or consulted in the planning process, and now we are expected to bear the brunt of the development abutting our property. In the spirit of fairness, we deserve to be exempt from this policy. Thank you.
I'm just wondering if administration can pull up that, I think it's the very first,
Yes,
that one, yeah, that one there.
yes.
So when I'm looking at that picture, again, you've had 2 driveways since I can remember. I grew up in this town. It's always been 2 driveways there. So my question for administration is when you're coming up, I guess that would be Maidstone, and you're going to turn right, is there going to be a stop sign there? Or are they going to be able to just round the corner?
Through the chair, Maidstone will be straight through. Like, you'll be allowed to travel east and west without stop patrol.
That would be my only concern, mainly for your family. It does change the dynamics of how you exit the property from those reductions. Normally you go down, if you're going down County Road 8, and then taking that curve, if you slow them down, or Arthur, you're not just down around the corner, you're afraid of something on the drive. So, I mean, for that, other than being careful, that would be the only. I'm in favor of it.
All right, through you, Madam Mayor, thank you to the delegation. When the time is right, I'm going to make the motion that we receive the delegation and that we support the request for the second driveway. I can see that if we ask you to close one of those driveways, it's going to cause considerable cost and burden upon you and your family, and I will approve the request.
Okay, we'll go to Councillor Guerin and then we'll take that motion.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. To admit, on the on-ramp, that's the new on-ramp we're gonna have going off of Gosfield on the Maidstone, will there be a yield sign at that on-ramp, or is it just a straight through? I'm assuming there's gonna be a yield.
Through the chair, there'll be a yield sign to notify drivers on the ramp that they have to essentially merge into the Maidstone traffic. That's correct.
And do you suspect there'll be any blind spots? The new layout versus the old layout for access in or out of that drive on Maidstone? If a car was coming one way or the other, is it more safe to pull out after this is redesigned onto Maidstone, or is it, I'm trying to figure out if they're in a safer position when we change this, if we close that than she is now.
Through the chair, from a safety perspective, I would say that keeping the driveway to the south along Gosfield would be the preferred driveway. And I would say that because with the new turning ramp onto Maidstone, that ramp is kind of in close proximity to the existing driveway, which could cause some sightline conditions. With that being said, it is a private residential property. And the vehicles that would be on Maidstone and on Gosfield would have the right of way per the Highway Traffic Act. So I wouldn't say that there's necessarily a significant conflict to be concerned with, but there is definitely going to be some sightline concerns there.
Yeah, I mean, in looking at this, I'm having a hard time figuring out if it's going, like, we're doing that intersection for a reason to make it safer for everybody, for the people that are, kids that are coming over from the Gallows way and going to school, to the drivers, to pedestrians, everything. And I'm looking at the way we've had it for years at a really bad intersection. And I don't think I've ever heard of an accident prior to this coming in and out of your driveway on either one of those entrances. And I would have to assume, even though that we are putting in the on-ramp and there's going to be a yield there, I think it's just as dangerous today with Arthur being a straight through at that bend as it's going to be. So I think it's kind of a moot point. I don't think it's any more safe or not for you once we change this around. So I'd be, again, I'm usually opposed to this type of stuff, but I'd be in favor of keeping the two driveways in this particular case, regardless of what you might do up the road with the property, whether you're going to have a second piece of property there or not. I just looking at today.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Question to administration is, I'm trying to wonder why we have just a yield onto a through traffic, why they're not coming to a certain stop. What's the reasoning behind that, or the logic, I would guess, why it's not coming to a complete stop going on to a through road?
So if I'm understanding correctly, so you mean the vehicles that are going to turn eastbound onto Maidstone? So the ramp itself would be a yield sign because it would cause a conflict with the vehicle stopping, and it would, in essence, it would create another intersection just to the east of Gosfield. So what we want them to do is yield to the traffic so they have the least amount of right of way. Does that make sense?
So can we not put a stop sign as opposed to a yield sign?
Through the chair, I would not recommend changing it from a yield sign to a stop sign. It may cause some confusion in terms of who has the right of way at that stop.
Okay, Councillor Verbeek had the motion. Councillor Verbeek moves that the delegation be received and that the request for a second driveway at Maidstone Avenue East be approved. Needing a seconder, Deputy Mayor Shepley. Comments to that motion? We're speaking just on that motion right now. Seeing none, all in favor? And that's carried. Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. So does that mean we keep it?
Yes,
Thank you.
turn off your mic there.
Okay.
No unfinished business tonight. Under reports from administration, planning 2024-10, site-specific zoning bylaw amendment for 2026 Chester Road. We will go to our planning team. to bring us through this report. Thank you.
Through you, Ms. Mayor. Today, you're here receiving the planning report and to hear the recommendation regarding an amendment to the Town of Essex zoning bylaw. This amendment is for the site-specific zoning bylaw to permit the use of an existing single detached dwelling to be used as a new short-term rental unit on the property 206 Chester Road. A statutory public meeting was held on April 15th, 2024, where the application was presented to council for consideration and to hear from the public the merits or concerns regarding this application. I'd like to take a moment just to address some of the policies through which the decision was based on, to detail responses to some comments and questions brought forward at this meeting, and to state the recommendation for the associated bylaw. I'm not going to go through each policy. Instead, I will only be addressing section 9.14 of the Town of Essex official plan, as it details policies for which council should consider when reviewing amendments to the zoning bylaw. The first policy being section 9.14A, the desirability of or need for the proposed use. The platform AirDNA was used to determine the need and desirability for short-term rental units within the Town of Essex. AirDNA is a short-term rental data tracking analysis program used for market research, and it provides information on how well a market is performing. And market performance is reflective of rental demand, revenue growth, seasonality, and regulation, and is therefore adequate representation for need. AirDNA does have its limits, one being that it cannot break down metrics in Colchester only. However, the majority of listings used within the calculations are located in Colchester South and are all licensed under our cloud permit system. At the date of the public meeting, and at the time of writing my report, the market in Essex was identified as performing poorly with a score of 20 out of 100 regarding the identification of need. Rental demand is the most significant factor, followed by seasonality. Now, rental demand details how often a short-term rental unit, how often they're booked throughout a given year. This factor is calculated based on occupancy rates and the listing growth rates and when they're active and available. The Town of Essex received a score of 31 out of 100, meaning that there's minimal demand at this time. As for seasonality, this details the difference in demand based on peak season and low season. This factor is calculated based on occupancy rates for established short-term rental units within the town, and the town received a score of 20, meaning that the demand for short-term rental units is inconsistent throughout the year and fluctuates greatly. The second policy is section 9.14B, the extent to which the surrounding area is developed and the nature of the development. The proposed short-term rental unit is considered a residential use, but is geared towards short-term housing for those seeking accommodations as part of a tourism industry rather than long-term occupancy. The intent of the housing stock in the Lakeshore residential area for which this is located is to be used for long-term tenancy for the freehold or rental market. Short-term rental units within this area are all legal non-conforming and are therefore able to operate. However, short-term rental units are permitted in areas zoned agriculture, commercial, or green district. In addition, the Colchester Hamlet Plan details appropriate locations for growth and development and policy direction for tourism and recreation within the Colchester Hamlet and for the Lakeshore Residential District. In this guide plan, it is stated that growth in general should be directed to the Colchester Hamlet to support its infrastructure and amenity development, and that accommodations to support the town's tourism and economic development should be directed to the Main Street area within the hamlet. Since AirDNA details minimal demand for short-term rental units within the Town of Essex, when it demonstrates seasonality consistent with tourism, and since the Colchester Hamlet Guide Plan details that short-term rental units should be directed towards the Main Street area, the desirability and need for the proposed use is not demonstrated and is not considered compatible with the uses planned for this area. Now, to briefly go over some of the comments received, one question asked was, does the town own the roadway and is parking permitted? Westchester Road and Chester Road are both owned but not assumed by the Town of Essex. The town maintains the road to current standards and no further improvements to the road or on-street parking conditions will be made, and on-street parking is not enforced. Another question received are, what are the statistics for number of bedrooms and existing licensed short-term rental units Information gathered from Cloud Permit details that we have a wide range of an average range of 4 to 8 beds per short-term rental unit. And the proposed will have 4 beds and can accommodate 8 guests total. Another question was requesting details regarding the easement placed over the stairway for access to the beach. This stairway access is considered private property, is not owned or affiliated with the town. The condition and use of this easement is beyond the scope of application as well. With consideration of the public comments received, comments and questions from council, and the policies found within the provincial policy statement, County of Essex official plan, and the Town of Essex official plan, it is recommended that the zoning bylaw amendment application be denied. Thank you.
Questions, comments from members of council? Counselor Hammond.
Yeah, I think we all learned through you, Mayor, that this is particularly a neighborhood that is lacking in any type of accommodations for tourists. And rightly so. It's been one of the better beaches, fewer complaints. They look after one another, very neighborly. Yeah, and I can't see. I'm not in favor of this at all. This is definitely an area that does not need any type of Airbnb attached to it. I'm totally against it.
Comments, questions, or direction from members of council? Counselor Verbeek.
You, Madam Mayor. So, thank you, Ian. Thank you, Mr. Rawlings. For a number of reasons, I'm not going to support this request. I'm going to support our administration's recommendation. Because of the saturation of short-term rentals, we just put this licensing and registration in place. We have an abundance of, I have to speak to it after I get a seconder, right? I did make the motion
Okay.
and I started speaking.
Needing a
Turn.
seconder. The one in the agenda that the planning report be received and that bylaw 2326, a bylaw to amend 1037 be denied. I need a seconder though. Counselor Allard.
I just wanted to follow the rules. It looks like it would have been a great, but I want to be clear, it's not about NIMBY. I appreciate all of the residents that came forward at our past meeting, but that's not what this is about. The most recent information you were able to get is 31 to out of 100 minimal demand. We have this brand new Grove. We have all of these license plate places, these short-term rentals that have jumped through all our hoops, paid all the registration fees and licensing, done all of the things that we request of them to be legal and legit. Let's give them a chance. If the market's already saturated, I don't think we add to it now. I think we need to give the Grove a chance. They've invested a lot in our community. And again, I think if we do open that door to new short-term rentals in Ward 3, it has to be after we've given some time to the ones that are the ones that are now operating legitimately. So I won't be supporting.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Ian, for coming back with all the answers that we had from that last meeting and opening up the our vision of what was happening out there and the saturation levels and I agree with your findings. I do hope one day that we're able to open things back up and maybe there's gonna be some more need for some short-term rentals in other areas of our municipality. But I'd agree with everything that you have in your report. Thank you.
Comments, questions from council? Everybody is aware of the motion. Seeing no one else, all in favor? And that is carried. Office of the CAO, verbal report on the tour of Hydro One.
Thank you, Mayor Bondi. So council, on Friday, April 19th, the mayor, deputy mayor, and I met with Hydro One staff at their location in Essex Center with a goal to receive a high-level tour of the facility and for Hydro One staff to review their operations and how they address storm or major incidents within our municipality. The town of Essex has 2 electricity providers, with ELK in the urban centers of Essex and Harrow and Hydro One in the rural portions of the municipality. The Hydro One facilities on Erwin Street in Essex, so actually just down the road here from Town Hall, is the main storage yard and command center for all of Hydro One services areas within Essex County. At the tour, Hydro One staff provided a high-level update on how they utilize their forestry staff and line staff for regular maintenance, such as tree trimming and pole replacements. The staff took us on a tour of the facility and their storage yard, explaining their safety training for all staff, as well as timelines on when power goes out and factors that can affect the restoration time, such as replacement of transformers or a simple fix of just resetting the connector on the pole. And some may have saw the photo Mayor Bondi put out once it collapsed, kind of like a GFI in your home. We're taken into their control room and they went over how they addressed a major storm last February, showing stats, the number of outage calls they received, how they assign work to crews, and the number of other electrical providers that came to our region to assist. A key part of the tour was learning how their call center works, which is staffed 24/7, and Hydro One stressing that the more people that contact Hydro One by phone, email, or through their website on a power outage will allow their staff to narrow down exactly where and why an outage is occurring, and they can correct it quicker. Finally, Hydro One explained the process to utilize to request other electrical company staff be deployed in our area to assist in emergencies, as well as the pre-training and onboarding they do once the staff provide on site. So council, that's my update for the tour, but I will turn it over to the mayor and deputy mayor if they wish to add anything to the update. Thank you.
Speed, I'll add a little bit, and then if there's anything I missed, the deputy mayor can follow up. So the outages are basically triaged on number of customers that are out. So if there is a block of customers that have 300 out, they're going to be in the queue to get restored rather than 10. So we do want to make sure that customers are calling so that Hydro One is aware of the entire scope, because they don't always automatically know. And we asked about capacity in the system for our growth, and they said that they see no concerns with capacity and growth in our region. They did talk a lot about the greenhouse growth and how that is bringing a lot of resources down here, and it will actually help us. I think they referred to the greenhouses in Leamington and the Kingsville as like having enough power as like all of Ontario, Toronto. Was that the city? It was pretty interesting. Another thing that we were asking a lot about is flickers, because it's kind of seemed a little better. Maybe it hasn't. But the flickers, we were told that the flickers are a sign that the system is working well, because the switches don't know if it's a human hand that touched the line or if it's a squirrel. So, and they were literally drive around and look for a switch. It's a little bit longer than this, and the switch like dangles down the pole. So they will literally drive around. If you see them driving around, they're looking for I don't know all the proper terms, but they're looking for the switch that is out. So that's what they're doing. So we're building a really good relationship with Hydro One, and it was really cool to see the inner workings. And we talked to them about having them back in the fall so we can further ask them questions on asset management, because Hydro One isn't just Essex County, it's all parts of Ontario. So we asked, what can we do to really focus on improvements in our area? And they said they guaranteed us that they're doing that, because we do have older systems, older lines out here. So we asked a lot of good questions, built a good relationship. I'm not sure if there's anything else you want to add. Okay, just any questions from council, and if we can't answer them right now, we can always take them back. Okay, seeing none, needing a motion that the verbal report by CAO Suite regarding the tour of Hydro One be received for information. Councillor Hammond, supported by Councillor Mady, all in favor. And that is carried. Office of the CAO 2024-03 Strategic Plan Annual Progress Report.
Bondi. So council, last March, the town retained Linton Consulting to assist council and administration in developing a corporate strategic plan for the next 4 years. Through consultation with council, administration, and the public, a plan was developed that identified 4 key strategic priorities that provide direction and goals for council and administration to use as guiding principles on priorities when establishing budgets or capital projects over the next 4 years. Part of the consultation was part of the consultation process was a resident survey, and one of the questions on the survey was what was important to residents. And out of nearly 500 participants, the top 3 responses were they had 84% wanted safe and well-maintained roads, 77% were looking at parks, trails, and playgrounds and open spaces, and 76% timely communication from the municipality. So after the consultation process, our consultant developed 4 key strategic priorities: safe and reliable infrastructure, jobs and economic opportunities, welcoming, caring community, and the 4th, responsible and people-focused government. Each of those 4 priorities was further broken down into action items specific to that priority. Overall, a total of 47 action items were developed, and each action item was assigned a department lead and an estimated timeline to complete that action item. After the first year, 74% of the action items have been started, and this demonstrates the town's commitment and accountability to this plan. Please note that although a timeline has been established for each action item, these timelines can be amended depending on priority shifts. One example is a 10-year road plan that was initially assigned to be completed and presented to council in the fall of 2025, has now been moved as an action item to be amended to this fall of 2024. So attached to tonight's council report is a copy of the 2023 to 2027 strategic plan progress tracker, which shows each action item, the target date, department lead, and the percentage completed as of April 1st, 2024. So at this time, we can address any questions council members may have.
CAO Sweet, I really like how we're giving ourselves a scorecard. Questions, comments from members of council? Councilor Verbeek.
Madam Mayor, just a comment. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you. Thank you for giving us this tracker, as the mayor just called it, a report card, a scorecard.
Mayor Blaze.
Thank you, through the chair. I just have a question, and I probably should know the answer, but I don't, so I'm gonna ask you. Implement in rebuilding Essex roads, the capital levy to fund road rehabilitating projects. It's a 100% complete. Do we know how much per year we're putting into that levy? Like, what does that look like? So we're putting money away so that way we can rebuild roads. What is that number that we're putting away?
Chair, I don't have that handy, but I can try to pull it in the next few minutes.
Councilor Mady and then CAO Sweet.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I wanted to say that I like it. I think it's great. It was great doing this, and the outcomes really showing the work that went into it. Having the roads study pushed forward by that far, I mean, that's like, I applaud you guys. That's great. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to seeing it, and to further what Councilor McGuire Blaze was saying, that levy being used for our roads, having something that's going to be set aside 100% just to make our roads better, I think is going to make a huge difference in our community.
Wasn't in my update, but just want to provide to council. So the past strat reports have been pretty high level and kind of wish list, where if you recall in our brainstorming sessions, that we wanted to be something that's measurable. So I think when you look at these 47 actions, majority of them, if not all of them, is something at the end of the day can be measured. So we know the success if we reached it or not. So that's a big change from past too. And I think that will help us reach those goals as well.
Chair, so the separately identifiable levy, we introduced one in 2023, which was 1.6%, and a further 1% in 2024, equates to approximately 441,000 annually that is put into a dedicated roads reserve. That's in addition to amounts that are continually funded through AMP as well.
For a motion that the CAO report be received for information. Councilor Hammond, Councilor Guerin, any questions? Any further questions? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Special events. Notice Community Services, McGregor Music Festival, looking for a mover and a seconder, that the Community Services report be received and that council approve a temporary noise exemption on Sunday, June 9th to accommodate the entertainment for the McGregor Music Festival, and that council approve the McGregor Music Festival for significant event status. Looking for Councillor Verbeek, Councillor Allard. Any questions? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Community Services, Special Events Notice, Colchester Walleye Derby. Looking for a mover and a seconder, that the Community Services Report 2024-08 be received and that council approve a temporary noise exemption to accommodate the entertainment for the Colchester Walleye Derby, and that council approve the Colchester Walleye Derby for a significant event status for the purposes of applying for a special occasion permit for June 8th. Looking for a mover and a seconder. Councillor Maybe, Councillor Allard. Any questions? All in favor? That's carried unanimously. Special events notice, Essex Fun Fest. We will go to Director Morissette here real quick.
Mayor Bonnie, and just a couple of quick points I want to touch on for this report is the car show. We're looking to bring that back again this year or from previous years. So that's looking to be on the Friday evening this year, as it shows in the report. One other thing that's different from usual is when we were passing the municipal alcohol policy, we did speak about exemptions to the municipal alcohol policy. And this is one of the examples that was spoken about that we are looking to ask for council approval, which would allow for, if they have oversized drinks, that they would be able to serve those oversized drinks pending that they reduce the limit to 4 drinks instead of 5. So that's something that we're working with the bar service on right now. So if they go with the oversized drinks, they're going to be limited to 4, but if they don't, then they'll still be able to follow the municipal alcohol policy with 5 drinks.
Mover and a seconder up, and then if we have questions, that Community Services report be received and that council approve a temporary noise exemption to accommodate the entertainment for the Essex Fun Fest, and that council approve closing Talbot Street North for the car show, and that council approve closing Harvey Street, Albert Street, Medora Avenue, and Talbot Street between Gosfield Town Line and Maidstone Avenue in Essex between 10 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. for the Essex Fun Fest Parade, and that council approve the Essex Fun Fest for significant event status, and that council permit the Essex Fun Fest to provide alcohol sales, which falls outside our municipal alcohol policy. Looking for a mover and Councillor McGuire Blaze and Deputy Mayor Shepley. Any questions? All in favor? Oh, sorry, Deputy Mayor Shepley.
I just want to thank you for the idea of bringing the car show back. I think it's it'll be down Main Street. It'll be, as a business owner that enjoyed the revenue from it, it's a welcome to see it again.
Director Morissette.
I just want to comment that was the committee and the BIA that was doing that, not personally myself. So thanks to those members that brought that forward.
All in favor? And that's carried unanimously. Special events notice, McGregor Mug Run, that Community Services report be received and that council approve granting of temporary noise exemption to accommodate the entertainment for the McGregor Mug Run, and that council approve the race route, and that council approve the McGregor Mug Run for significant event status for the purposes of applying for their special event permit. Moved Councillor Guerin, supported by Deputy Mayor Shepley. Any questions? I just have one. We do let the residents on Arquette know about this. Director Morissette, do they? Okay, all in favor? Carried unanimously.
Mayor Bonnie, so this is regular report that we do bring to council, just so you can see the regular updates of what events are coming up. So we do plan on continuing this. There is one event that I just want to point out in the listing. It's a circus. I do want to point out that that's not an animal circus. There are different activities that go on, but there are going to be no animals on site. So no worry about our animal bylaw.
Thank you for clarifying that. Looking for a motion to receive the report, Community Services 2024-15. Deputy Mayor Shepley, Councillor Verbeek, all in favor? And that is carried. Community Services 2024-13. We'll go to Director Morissette here again.
Thank you, Mayor Bondi. So the energy consumption and demand management plan is something that's required legislatively. The province of Ontario does require that we do provide this report. So some of the things that they go in depth with the report is things that we've used in terms of our facilities, what our consumption's like, where we can get cost savings in the future, and what methods that we have done to create cost savings for that, and what things we're going to be doing in the future for those cost savings. So legislatively, like I mentioned, it is required that we have this done by July 1st. And this funding is so that we can have the consultant finalize the plans and get that posted on our website for public viewing.
For a mover and a seconder, that the report be received and that council approve funding of $8,344 to be funded through the Town of Essex Green Fund. Councillor Verbeek, supported by Councillor Mady. I just do have one comment because I'm running into this with multiple facilities with different boards I'm on. Before, we used to have like a turn off the heat, like turn off baseboard heat end of May or something, but maybe with warmer climate, we need to relook at some of our facilities and turning down heat. I know another one is in the Bryan Street apartments, they keep the baseboard utilities on as a policy till the end of May, when really you could turn them off now. Some people are even starting to turn their air conditioning off. So really being cognizant of where we have our baseboard heaters on and where, like, it's just throwing good money after bad. That's my only comment. Anybody else? Councillor Verbeek.
Through you, Madam Mayor, isn't that what the consultant is going to do for us?
Mayor Rondi, this would be more operational so that they would see some of the things that we may have been doing. And then operationally, we would look in-house for those cost savings things. So with a lot of our facilities have building automation systems. So we do make sure that those are calibrated properly. It is a tricky time of year because some nights we'll have very cool nights and then some very hot days. So sometimes the systems are running because the external temperature is different from the internal temperature. There's a lot of contributing factors for that, but it's a way for us to look operationally where we can save money.
Right. And if the consultant doesn't point you in that direction, I think the mayor's really on to something there. I mean, we were cooking in church on Sunday because it's on the automated, and maybe for these couple of odd months with the changes in the climate, we look at going to manual for a bit, if that's what we need to do.
Favor? And that is carried unanimously. Community Cleanup Initiative. We will go to Director Morissette first, and then we'll seek a motion.
Thank you, Mayor Bondi. So this is an initiative that came up through the Parks and Facilities Division. So we have seen a lot of initiatives throughout the community for garbage cleanup. So one thing similar to what we did last year with the, we utilized the library to rent out pickleball equipment. So we're looking for different ways to engage the community. This is another one that we can handle in-house because we have the supplies in our facilities to be able to provide gloves, garbage bags, and pick up garbage bags for communities. So basically what has to happen is if anybody's looking to organize their own community cleanup, they can register on our website and they can show that they are interested in doing this. They can gather a group of people and then we'll assist them with the supplies. It is in accordance with our strategic plan, which is taking care of our natural environment. So we do want to make sure that we are providing access to residents that are looking to do that, and having a good, clean community is great for everybody.
Can you please update us on our community cleanup this weekend, please?
Certainly. So this upcoming Saturday starting at 9:30, usually it goes 9:30 until 11-ish. We have our community cleanups. So in each ward, we do have a location where people can sign up. We do ask that you go on our website and sign up if you are looking to be there, because we do try and get a quantity of how much food we have to bring for everybody on site because we do provide lunch afterwards. So usually lunch is about 11 to 11:30, and then people can get on with their day. But we are looking for a number of people to come and help us out. And we, again, similar to the initiative, this event will be supplying garbage bags and gloves and lunch for everybody.
Excited. I don't think I'm going to sleep all week. I'm wondering if we can try to count the garbage bags we get in each ward, and we could have maybe a competition or something. I'm all for a friendly competition. Looking for a mover and a seconder that the community services report be received and approved. Deputy Mayor Shepley, Councillor Allard, anybody wishes to speak to this report? Councillor Mady, do you have any facts?
I was trying to look for the facts, but I don't have the official facts, but I heard some numbers that came in and I'm amazed. I wanted to check them again because it was like Essex picked up 181 bags of garbage or something like that for the community. Harrow was over 100 on its own. I can't believe those numbers. I was really looking for a spot where I could check them, but I don't see them here in front of me, but I think it's pretty amazing.
Referring to the library cleanup. So our municipality did knock it out of the park. All in favor? We had a motion for that, right? Yeah, okay. Essex Tourism Events Fund application, the Economic Development Report 2024 entitled Essex Tourism Events be received and that council approve the distribution of $1,000 to the McGregor Music Festival Committee, excuse me, and that council approved $2,000 the funding of the Harrow and Colchester South Agricultural Society, and that council approve a distribution of $1,000 to Heritage Colchester from the Essex Tourism Events Fund. Looking for a mover and a seconder for those. Councillor McGuire Blaze, supported by Councillor Mady. Any questions for any of those? All in favor? That's carried unanimously.
And a 5K walk run reel presented by Brady's Drugstore Sunday, July 7th. Join us in Sadler's Pond for a morning of family-friendly lawn games, a race warm-up brought to you by Rec Health and Fitness, and a fun nature run. All money raised will be donated to the Essex Area Food Bank. You can register at raceroster.com under Essex Fun Fest 5K walk run. Look forward to seeing you there.
Okay, sounds good. So are you accepting sponsorships? Okay, you heard that, council members. I'll be racing. Oh, we can race.
Be the first to register.
Was that? Ah! I'm going to try to run. Okay, we'll see how that goes. A county council update.
Madam Mayor, it was a relatively uneventful last meeting, other than Essex County Council and local municipalities have established a regional plan to respond to risks from legacy oil and gas wells. The Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry is providing $7.5 million over 3 years to help communities reduce the risk and enhance preparedness for emergencies within their communities related to legacy gas and oil wells. And we did learn through our emergency management preparedness, the amount of them is just astounding in this area alone. When they show you the map, it's really eye-opening. So this is great news. And if you want to, the 6 steps are listed on the Essex County Council page and titled Abandoned Wells and Hydrogen Sulfides if you want to see the 6 steps. And that's my report. I'll turn it over to you to deal with the Tom Wright drain.
Mayor Shepley, I do have a few things. We did raise at County Council under emergency preparedness, large scale animal rescue. So there's been some links that we're sending to the county so their staff can start to think about, there's 1-day training. I am on the CHC Housing Board, so there's some developments there. If anybody has any questions regarding that, please reach out to me. We have a meeting about once a week on that. Also, we had an overall meeting on healthcare at the county, and we talked about getting a map of Essex County with each municipality, talking about how many residents per municipality are underserved with healthcare and don't have primary care doctors. So at the county, there's been a lot of pressure, primarily through our MPP, Anthony Liardi, saying we need to pick one thing and lobby behind that and get that one thing and then move on to the next thing. So Kingsville got help with their nurse practitioner clinic. So we really want to see, looking at the county, where the next area is that's really underserved. because I've had a meeting with the Harrow Health Center that serves portions of McGregor, Harrow, Colchester, and they're called unattached residents. There are many unattached residents in the south end of our municipality. So, but as a county councilor, we have to look at the whole county. So we want to see, you know, maybe LaSalle has the most, maybe Leamington has the most, maybe Amherstburg, we don't know. So we ask for more information. When that comes back, we'll make sure to share with council. Also, many residents and more so businesses actually are reaching out to members of our council asking about an update on the Tom Wright culvert. So during excavation, you know, it was found to be more quicksandy and they had to re-engineer the hydro poles. So tomorrow, the deputy mayor and I, Councillor Allard, Councillor Mady has sent his regrets because he'll be working. Councillor Hammond will be there. We're meeting with business owners at Crew Winery at 2:30 with the county staff to talk about what can be done, if there's timelines, you know, different detour routes. And our staff here, David Macbeth, have been working hand in hand with the county to get better detour sites so that residents and businesses know how to get there. So I will, one of us will send in a high-level email to the balance of council letting them know what we discover. We do understand that this is an urgent priority for our region. Okay, looking for a motion that the County of Essex regular meeting minutes be received. Councillor Allard, Deputy Mayor Shepley, all in favor, and that is carried. Correspondence. We'll get all the correspondence up, and then if we want to pick at different ones, we can. Looking for a motion that the correspondence listed in agenda item 13.1 be received and we're indicated to share such information with the community using suitable methods of communication. Looking for a mover to just receive them all. Deputy Mayor Shepley, supported by Councillor Hammond, all in favor. That is carried. Okay, if any members of council wish to pull out any particular items, like if anybody wants to pull out the 13.1.3. Verbeek.
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, 13.1.3 from the City of St. Catharines. Letter requesting to restrict keeping of non-native exotic wild animals.
On that, Councillor McGuire Blaze, any comments to the motion? All in favor? And that's carried. Going once, going twice. We'll go to our clerk, Director Malanjuklo.
Thank you, Mayor Bondi. Item 13.2.1 is correspondence to be considered for receipt and support from Fibromyalgia Association of Canada. That the correspondence from Fibromyalgia Association of Canada asking council to consider proclaiming Fibromyalgia Awareness Day in the town of Essex be received or received and supported. And if supported, the council proclaim May 12, 2024 as Fibromyalgia Awareness Day in the town of Essex by adopting the following resolution. Whereas Fibromyalgia Awareness Day aims to raise awareness and end the stigma and discrimination that accompany this chronic illness. Whereas Fibromyalgia Association Canada is the only national organization in Canada that supports only fibromyalgia. Whereas fibromyalgia affects about 5% of Canada's population, over 2 million men, women, and children of all ages and races in Canada are afflicted with this chronic illness. Whereas fibromyalgia often takes an average of 3 to 5 years to diagnose. Whereas there is no known cause of prevention of or cure of fibromyalgia. Whereas fibromyalgia is a complex illness whose symptoms vary widely and may include debilitating chronic pain, overwhelming fatigue, and cognitive impairment. Whereas patients with fibromyalgia often have a number of coexisting conditions, which may include chronic myofascial pain, irritable bowel syndrome, temporal mandible joint disorder, environmental sensitivities, anxiety, and depression. Whereas fibromyalgia greatly reduces quality of life, can cause total disability, and also affect families, friends, and employers. Living with chronic pain and fatigue on a daily basis can lead to social isolation, so it is important for sufferers and their families, friends, and caregivers to know that they are not alone. Whereas people with fibromyalgia have a right to be treated with dignity and a right to have pain relief, and whereas together we will find ways to enhance the quality of lives for people affected by fibromyalgia and together find a cure.
Needing a mover and a seconder for that. Councillor Hammond, supported by Councillor Allard. Any questions? All in favor? And that is carried. Therefore, I, Sherry Bonny, Mayor of the Town of Essex, on behalf of Town Council, and the community at large, hereby do proclaim March 12th as Fibromyalgia Awareness Day in the town of Essex. Thank you. Director Malin-Duclos.
2.2, Vaughan Windsor, Essex. That the correspondence from Vaughan Windsor, Essex, asking council to consider proclaiming Vaughan Week 2024 in the town of Essex be received or received and supported, and if supported, that council proclaim May 19th to May 25, 2024 as Vaughan Week in the town of Essex by adopting the following resolution. Whereas the Victorian Order of Nurses for Canada is a charitable community-based healthcare organization that has addressed community health and social needs for 127 years. Whereas Vaughan Windsor, Essex nurses, home support workers, community service coordinators, and many other staff and volunteers have been caring for the lives and well-being of residents of the town of Essex since 1927, and Vaughan's nursing, health promotion, and support services make a contribution to the healthcare system in Ontario.
Hello, looking for a mover and a seconder that we receive the correspondence in support. Councillor Hammond, Councillor McGuire Blaze, any questions? All in favor? Therefore, I, Sherry Bondi, Mayor of the town of Essex, on behalf of Town Council and the community at large, hereby proclaim May 19th to May 25th, 2024 as VON Week in the town of Essex. Committee meeting minutes. Looking for a mover and a seconder that the committee meeting minutes listed in agenda item 14 be received and approved as adopted as is circulated. And there's the Essex Municipal Heritage in the Committee of Adjustment. Looking, Councillor McGuire Blaze, Councillor Mady, all in favor? That is carried. Nothing under financial. We do have a new business item. Sure, Councillor Mady, what is your new business item?
Thank you, and to you, Madam Mayor. You touched on it a little bit earlier with the Tom Wright drain. And yeah, I had some of my regrets for the meeting tomorrow. But it really had me thinking on what else we can do. And I penned a letter to the council, county council, as this is their project, and I do believe they need a little bit of a push maybe to help get it going, and to also the contractors, consultants, everybody involved in this. We need to get together and really find a solution for this. So I did pen a letter that I sent to all members of council today. I don't know if you want me to read it or if it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, so yes, I think that this is an urgent and minor matter because we're sending a letter to the county, and it is urgent because this is a major construction project that is impacting our businesses. So go ahead.
Thank you, and further through, Madam Mayor. So the letter's like this. Dear Mayor, sorry, wrong one. Dear County Council, County Administration, consultants, and contractors. As a councillor representing Ward 3 in Essex, that'd be the first amendment I would like to make and scratched out to be the county or the Council of Essex, if you guys are in favor. I am urgently writing to address the closure of County Road 50 due to the failing Tom Wright drain culvert and to advocate for its immediate repair and maintenance. The closure of County Road 50 not only disrupts the daily lives of our constituents, but it also poses significant safety risks for residents and visitors alike. Emergency services are impeded, access to essential services compromised, and residents face prolonged inconvenience and detours. Additionally, with many businesses relying heavily on seasonal tourism, the closure severely impacts their ability to attract customers and generate revenue during this crucial time. Recognizing the critical importance of County Road 50 as a primary transportation route, it is imperative that we prioritize the replacement of the Tom Wright drain culvert and undertake necessary repairs without delay. Restoring access to the vital artery is paramount to ensuring public safety, facilitating emergency response, and supporting the economic well-being of our community. I understand the complexities involved in such infrastructure projects, but I urge the County Council to expedite the process and allow the necessary resources to address this urgent matter promptly. The prolonged closure of County Road 50 not only exacerbates the existing challenges, but also threatens the safety of our residents and the vitality of our local economy. Thank you for considering this matter with the urgency it demands. I stand ready to collaborate. Let's change that to we stand ready to collaborate with fellow counselors, stakeholders to swiftly resolve the closure of County Road 50 and mitigate the adverse impacts on our community, particularly our resident safety and the viability of our local businesses during this critical tourist season. Sincerely, I'd like to sign it, the Essex Town Council.
Thank you. Well written, and I think it touches on everything that the residents and businesses are thinking. Looking for a seconder, Councillor Verbeek. So our town administration will send that off to the county, and Deputy Mayor Shepley and I will present it. Any further questions? All in favor? And that is carried unanimously. Moving on to the notices of motion, Director Malandroukolo.
Bondi, through you. The following notice of motion was moved by Councillor Verbeek at the April 15th, 2024 regular council meeting and is being brought forward this evening for council's consideration. That administration be directed to return with a report regarding creating a voluntary list of Town of Essex residents that would like or need the town to check on them at a time of prolonged power outages, severe weather events, or disasters, and whether or not the town should provide such services.
Councillor McGuire Blaze. Councillor Verbeek, you wish to speak to your motion?
Thanks. Through you, Madam Mayor. I think it speaks for itself. I'm simply asking for a report to come back that we make this registry or list of our vulnerable population. We know our population is growing in this municipality, so I think now is the time to start this list as we grow. We don't want any of our residents to fall between the cracks. And so we learned last year the hard way when we had these 3 major events, right? And we know now that we do have vulnerable individuals that are living alone in the community. And there is a piece of them that are not even linked through electronics and cell phones. And so the idea of this is at that demographic. I'm really hoping that this list is small. I really do. But this is for individuals that don't have supports real close or family members that can get to them in a hurry. People that when we have extended power outages and it's extremely hot or extremely cold, this would just be a list of people that want to be checked in on. It would give them peace of mind and perhaps loved ones that are, living out of reach. It falls within our climate adaptation plan in 2021. It was one of the recommendations. It also, if the strategic plan that we as a council put together in basket number 3 is to be a welcoming, caring community. And we want to be a community that's caring. And to do that, we have to look out for each other. And I think this would be a good way. I don't know how it's going to look. And that's what I'm asking administration to bring back to us. If it's something we ask, maybe who would follow up on the check-ins? I guess that'll come back in the form of suggestions from administration.
Shepley.
I think this is one of those feel-good motions that it's easy to, get behind it. I worry though a little bit with the town staff doing it to the extent of following up with the police and what have you, or if somebody passes away. There's a lot of questions that I'm sure will come back in the report. I'm really looking forward to reading it. I know typically in the past, this has been the families, churches, neighbors, friends in the community that did this job. And I don't know that the town needs to step in and take it over, but I don't know that we don't. So I'm looking forward to hearing the report back.
Thank you, through the mayor. I know that there are communities out there who have this program. It's not particularly run by the town, but town staff do oversee it. So it could be a committee. We heard about it. Well, I heard about it a few years ago at the Ontario Police Board's conference. And it's the ones that I heard about are made up of some town staff, OPP, some psychiatry counselors, nurse practitioners, and community members. And they kind of get together about 4 times a year in the ones that I've heard about. They get together 4 times a year and they have this list and they kind of go through it and they delegate. So it could be possibly It has happened, which is why I supported the motion, because there are organizations out there like this. And I don't think that when it comes back, I think administration will say it's not a town-run program, but it is a program that we can run in town. So I support this motion. I think it's.
Counselor Garrett, then CAO Sweet.
Thank you, through the mayor. Yeah, I was gonna suggest the committee as well would probably be, don't we have a committee that does like the snow removal? Do we call them angels or some along that line? I think would work well. And I don't even think we'd really need a report. We just need to kind of figure out, maybe we can even piggyback on that program.
My comments are going to address Councilor McGuire Blaze and actually same as Councilor Garon. So, yes, as per the motion, we'll come back with a report in terms of options and all that. And we don't want to reinvent the wheel. So we already started doing some research. Councilor McGuire Blaze, correct. There are models out, but we're going to look for a solution for the town of Essex. That's what we'll bring forward. There's also a plan that was done a couple of years ago, Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan, which is all partners. Every municipality, school boards, fire, emergency, doctors. So to go to that point, part of that mandate was also to look at these type of things. We kind of have a model in there, a group already designed, and we'll relook at that document as well.
I just did a quick Google search, and it could be even a county thing, because I found a vulnerable persons registry, and it says, which municipality are you registering from? And it says Brantford, Bradford, Guelph, Stratford, Waterloo region. So can you imagine if we had one at the county that said Essex, Amherstburg, Kingsville, Leamington? So this might be something that we want to push up and not just get Essex, but get Essex County. So just my thoughts. Any other comments to this motion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Next motion, Councilor McGuire Blaze, or sorry, Director Malinjuco.
Through you, the following notice of motion was presented at the April 15th regular meeting is being brought forward this evening for council's consideration. Moved by Councilor McGuire Blaze that administration return with a report with recommendations regarding the use of town-owned banners within the municipality of the town of Essex.
Councilor McGuire Blaze moves forward. We need a seconder. Councilor Verbeek.
Thank you, through the mayor. So this is just to clarify, when we're talking about banners, the banner program are the ones that are going on our new light posts in the municipality of Essex, and I believe in Harrow as well. We haven't had them before. I don't think, I have never seen them before in town, but they're coming with our new streetscapes. And the reason for this is because we're going to have a lot of groups come to us and say, can we put our banner up? Whether it be an organization or an event. And I think before those banners actually go up and we get flooded with requests, because I know we're already getting requests. So before the floodgates open and everyone sees how nice they are and what an impact they can do, I would like our administration to come back with a report on the use of them. If we're going to allow other organizations and events to put their own banner up in town, what kind of organizations and events, how long will it be up? What are the costs associated with that? So I'd like that report to come back sooner than later.
Motion. Pretty straightforward. All in favor? And, who seconded that? Councilor Verbeek, sorry. And that is carried unanimously. Director Malinjuculo.
Item 13.1.3. The following notice of motion was presented at April 15th, 2024 regular council meeting and is being brought forward this evening for council's consideration. Moved by Mayor Bondi that council direct administration to prepare a report on information regarding lead pipes in the town.
Seconder for that. Seconded by Councilor Verbeek. Would you like to speak to that, Mayor Bondi? Go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Shefley. I sit on two water boards. One is Union Water and one is the Ontario Municipal Water Association. And I'm learning a lot about water, and I just want to make sure that we know what's in our town pipes and we're doing everything we can in case there are still some lead pipes out there. There is on the Ontario Municipal Water Board Association, there is a working lead group that is working to lobby the province to reduce the units of lead from 10 UG per liter to 5, and also to start making sure that the public are aware of their responsibility to test their pipes and to see if our municipality can map the locations of lead service lines and have a plan for removal. So for example, if we figure out we have 3 lead pipes in our municipality, we make a phased in plan to make sure that those pipes are gone. We really should have a 0 lead tolerance. And just like somebody will ask me, how do I get my house tested? Just having information readily available so we can let residents know, get your water tested, especially if your home was built before 1950s. Like, I don't even know where to tell people to get their water tested. So just pulling information together. I do know that in the Safe Water Act that came in 2008, I know more about Union Water because I'm on that board. Union Water had to test samples of homes in Essex Center, and they tested approximately 244 homes, and there was six cases that were higher than the level. So I don't know anything about the Colchester treatment plant or the Colchester and Harrow homes. So that data should exist because the province came down and made all water treatment or all municipalities do this testing. So I'd like to get the Union Water data to council and get the data from the Harrow and Colchester area to council. So we really know that we don't have an issue. I think it's part of our training on municipal water that we just make sure we're diligent. So if there's any questions, I can try to answer them, but I think a report would really be helpful.
For comments from council, Councilor Garren.
Yep, through the chair. Maybe Director Gerard could comment on some of the comments that Mayor Bondi made.
Through the chair, yeah, I think it's a great idea. I mean, lead in drinking water can pose significant concerns to residents. I can say with respect to what you've been educated on with in terms of Union Water and the sampling program that they went through from the province for lead sampling, the town of Essex also did, along with all other regional municipalities that produce water. So the Harrow Colchester water system would have done the same thing. We have completed that testing and we are on a reduced sampling program now, which meant that we had very favorable results back then in terms of lead testing in homes within the distribution system. So our reduced sampling program now requires us to test alkalinity and pH every year and lead every 3 years. And our lead values are very, very favorable in Essex and for any of the produced water that's made here in Essex. But I think it's good information for council. You do have a due diligence to the water system. You are familiar with your responsibilities under the legislation. So, and you've all received that training. So, as a means of in good measure and to do some due diligence, I think it's a good idea to have the report and maybe be educated on maybe some of the things that we're doing here in Essex in terms of lead. I will say that the OMWA is doing some work just to kind of echo Mayor Bondi's points on reducing lead in Ontario. The World Health Organization limit for lead has been 5 micrograms per liter for many years. And the ministry guideline now in Ontario is still 10. So I think that it's great work that the OMWA is doing to try and lobby the provincial government to reduce that. And, hopefully we'll see some change happening in the next couple of years with that.
I'm going to make one comment, then I'll pass it over to you, Mayor Bondi. So I'm wondering if in that report, because I've been notified by a few people that live in the town of Essex that have lead drinking water pipes to their house from the town. I'm wondering if we could get some sort of indication on how many of those are that we're aware of, and if there's anything that we are able to do to help those homeowners out to remove that lead pipe from their properties in that report, if that's at all possible.
The chair, yeah. So I mean, in terms of lead, what would be lead services that you're speaking of? Anytime we encounter a lead service that is town owned, it's replaced immediately. So we will replace all lead services that are town owned. When we discover that there's a lead service to the property line, if we discover that there's lead also on the private property, we'll issue a letter to that private property owner, letting them know of their responsibilities, the impacts of lead in drinking water, and that's all shared with the resident. As Mayor Bondi mentioned, if there is suspicion that you may have lead in your system, the best way to check is to have your water tested There are laboratories in Windsor that will complete that testing for you on your behalf and have that tested for you. And then any support or questions that you may have related to lead within your property or whether you're serviced by lead pipes, that type of thing, they should be contacting us and we can assist any way possible. But that lead service basically from the private property line and within the house is the responsibility of the homeowner. But anytime we encounter a lead service that's town owned, we do replace.
Bonnie for the last comment.
I was also thinking of our town facilities. Like, I'm not sure if the old Carnegie Library has lead pipes. Like, I was just like thinking about this, wondering, you know, we have people, volunteers in there working, you know, they could be volunteering 3 times a week. And if we haven't tested our older facilities, like the Carnegie Library, perhaps even places like Gesto, Madel. So I would like our older building facilities, I would like, if they haven't been tested, I would like them to also be tested. And even if they were tested, maybe it's a good idea to get them tested, because I've also heard that pipes break down. So maybe in the future, like in the past, they were coated, but then there's corrosives in the pipes. And so the coating breaks off and then I don't know. I really want to be diligent in terms of the volunteers and staff that work in some of these older facilities. Thank you.
Question, all those in favor? And that carries. And I'll turn it back over to you, Mayor Bonnie.
Drew Colo.
Bonnie? The following notices of motion are for presentment only and will be brought forward for council's consideration at the May 21, 2024 regular council meeting. Moved by Mayor Bondi that administration come back with a report by the next regular council meeting with ideas to support businesses impacted by the Tom Wright Drain Culvert closure. Moved by Mayor Bondi that council direct administration to come back with a report discussing the inflow and infiltration to the town's storm and sanitary sewers and potential solutions to help reduce flooding. The report should speak to the ability to create an inspection program to identify and repair cross connections and sources of inflow and infiltration. Moved by Councilor Verbeek. Whereas home parks and land lease communities are often a place where a person owns the home and rents the land from the landlord. And whereas in recent years, the mobile home unit selling price has doubled or quadrupled, making land lease properties unaffordable to purchase. And whereas land lease properties and mobile home parks used to be seen as affordable living starter homes for couples and seniors, these areas are now becoming unaffordable due to the lack of rent control when a unit changes ownership. And whereas some of our most vulnerable residents in our town are losing out on the value of their assets because their homes are losing resale value. Now, therefore, be it resolved that administration be directed to send a letter to provincial government regarding the rising cost to lease the land at mobile home parks and land lease communities.
Reports and announcements from council members. We'll start with Councilor McGuire Blaze and we'll just go all the way through.
I would just like to report that Mama's Place is celebrating their 15-year anniversary. So everyone should go to Mama's Place and celebrate with them. 15 years in the community is pretty good. So congratulations to Mama's Place.
Just want to remind the public that we're in construction season. There's lots of shovels out there, and just be patient with the construction crews and be safe. Also want to remind people that are parking in Essex Center, the parking spaces where the pavers are clearly marked. Sidewalks are not parking spaces.
Require a third and final reading. Bylaw 2323 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the April 15th, 2024 council meeting be read a third and finally passed May 6th. Needing a mover and a second. Deputy Mayor Shepley. Councilor Mady, all in favor? That's carried. Bylaws requiring a first, second, third, and final reading. Bylaw 2327 being a bylaw to proceed for the issue of debentures in the amount of $243,000 for works completed on drains. Needing a mover and a seconder on that. Councilor McGuire Blaze, Councilor Verbeek, all in favor? That's carried. Being a bylaw 2328 to confirm the proceedings of the May 6th council meeting to be read a first and second time and provisionally passed on May 6th. Councilor Guerin, Councilor Hammond, all in favor. And we'll see you all at the cleanup. The free lunch on the town. How often do you get to make a difference and have a free lunch? Looking for a motion to adjourn. Council McGuire Blaze, Deputy Mayor Shepley, all in favor. That's carried.